very good evening, everyone. Hi. So for this particular level, I had to do a survey that Toastmasters gave me. Here's the funny part. When I did the survey where we had to do leadership styles, I realized that I had 4 or 5. There was no difference. I had like 4 or 5 options. So instead of saying, which one do I fit in? I started asking myself a very important question, which is, what if I don't fit in any one of this? What if leadership is no longer fitting into a category? So that got me thinking, and because I have done leadership training before back home, and I'm a sociologist. So sociologists are like archaeologists. We like to dig into people's minds and personality. So I started researching, and I discovered that in modern theory, we are required to adapt, collaborate, and most importantly, think systematically. And I also realized that if you look at modern theories, which I will go through later on, I chose only 3, there are too many. You need a combination of your belief system, your personality, and most importantly, the way you think. So without further ado, let me start off with the first one. So, as I said, leadership, you have to look at your belief system, the way you think, and your personality. It is actually quite personal. So the first one that I came across was what we call adaptive leadership. Okay, so this one is interesting because you don't ask, how do we do this? Or why do we do this all the time? Instead, you ask, does this still work? Now, if you look at my personality, people who know me very well, I like to work smart. I hate working hard, especially when I'm not being paid. That's true. And the thing is, because I'm a Singaporean, we grew up very pragmatic and very practical. So the first question I asked myself, I'm not German, I'm Singaporean, so we are not that efficient. So I asked myself, how can I make this efficient? So for example, when I look at the survey and I said, this doesn't suit me, so out of the window. When I worked with Joe, when it came to BPPR as a social media, I always asked Joe, we spent 2 hours trying to figure out things about social media, and we always ask the question, does this still work? So it's very important to adapt, because that's how AI adapts, that's how Gemini adapts. So we are human beings, we're supposed to be better than AI, technically. Okay? So the second one is my favorite. It's called strength-based leadership. Now, in strength-based leadership, you ask the question, can we work on your strength? We're not going to work on your weaknesses. Okay? And this is interesting because for me, I don't like uniformity. I like individuality because I'm a mixed nut. So I like to work with people who are mixed nuts. I don't like to work with all the peanuts. I like to work with cashew nuts, almond, all the very rich nuts. Okay? And for me, I love to learn. So like this year, when I joined as a VPPR, the team that I work with, all of them are way smarter than me, a lot more capable, and a lot more intelligent than I am. And the reason is because I believe in learning. I don't like to work with people with the same level as me. I like to work with people better than me, because then I become better. And in my team, if you come to TGIF, this is a sales pitch. If you come to TGIF, okay, you will find people with very interesting personalities. You can never find someone who is similar to the other person. You can never find another Paul Sharpe, or an Eric Ma, or a Joe, or a John. Okay, everyone's different. Okay, and that makes it fun. Now the second thing about me, oh my god, I'm moving towards the wall. Okay, the second thing about me is I don't like to micromanage because I've got a very busy schedule. And can you imagine, for those of you who don't know these 2 people, imagine micromanaging Paul Sharpe and Eric Ma. It's like walking into a swamp with 2 crocodiles. You are definitely going to have your hip broken. These are very powerful crocodiles, okay? So don't ever micromanage. I hate doing that. So the question I ask myself is, how does each person work? What do they bring into the system? how can I leverage it? This is super important. And I love this because it's like working with different people, different personality. You have your own friends season. And the last one is what we call systems leadership. Now, systems leadership is where you work with different systems. Now, if you've used Gemini, you will realize when you say something to Gemini, Gemini takes it and then it creates another system. So it keeps building on. So everything is connected, like the Lion King. It's the circle of life. We are all connected. So when everything is connected, for me, I like to be innovative. So when I come to a team and work, what is your system? What is my system? Can we make it work? Can we upgrade the system? So this is how I work. So the thing is, I'll look at it. What is the issue? Can you bring in your system? What can I take from here? What can I take from here? It's like creating a whole new world. Okay, so that's the systems leadership. Now, if you ask me, Ling, so what is you mentioned all of this, so what are you? I am considered an adaptive architect leadership, which means I adapt to the situation. I'm an architect because I lead by design. If something doesn't work, I redesign it, okay? And this is why I enjoy doing this leadership. The most important thing about leadership is it has to be unique and authentic. You don't want to fit into a cookie cutter because our life is not everything is in order. No. We have to lead with our heart. We need to be authentic. So whenever you do something, what is your belief system? I always believe in this. That creates your personality. Your personality makes you think the way you are. When you become someone, when you start thinking, you become that person. And it influences your leadership style. So with that, I will conclude my speech. Thank you very much for your time.